The opportunity here is a really good one, which is to deliver something that's really iconic and ideally has a compelling craft story within it that starts to connect you very strongly with the design communities. Well, we had mixed feelings to begin with. At one level, we loved the brief, but at the same time, deep inside, there's that terror about doing something that's actually for your peers.
And we've looked at many trophies, albeit online, and some of the ones we've sort of won in the past and been able to physically handle. There's a lot of abstraction out there. There's a lot of abstract shapes and geometries and faceted awards made of glass and perspex with frosting and typography. They sort of leave us personally a bit cold because they're not familiar objects. They are either dull, sharp, cold.
So we're looking around at this whole world of trophies, and frankly there's lots of pointy ones and lots of quite dangerous phallic ones, but they're all a bit mediocre. So what we thought we should do is give ourselves some principles to work with, and one of the ones that really sort of came to the surface was good design is as little design as possible.
Which just sounds like a lazy get-out clause. However, I think what we mean by that is it's a reductive process. So by taking away what you don't need, you're left with a simple idea.
We also have a shopping list. So, actually, is this thing going to be memorable? Is it going to be beautiful? Is it simple? Is it appropriate? Does it have legs? Is it going to last a long time? And is it joyful?
We want people to think, I get it, I want it.
Now it's time to sort of get busy with generating ideas and sort of discussing and debating with Gordon and the team which ones work, which ones don't.
We were in Shoreditch House with Gordon, who's incredibly persuasive, and he said, he scribbled something down for me and Alan, he went, it's a Carnex, it's a Carnex. And he drew this sort of crazy medieval torture instrument.
So the Carnex is the holding company for the drum, and so has a sort of historic importance to Gordon and his team. We were thinking, like, what's a Carnex?
When we ask people what a Carnex is, we got these answers. Is it something foreign? Is it a dinosaur? Is it a poet? Is it a body part? Oh, he's kicked me right in the Carnex. The desperate Carnex kind of is a sort of creature that looks like this, pokes his tongue out at people, but is actually an instrument of terror. Is a war horn.
I guess when we started looking into it, the Carnex was, it's an amazing object. And I think as soon as you start thinking, okay, how could this work as a trophy? It's about 4 meters tall. We soon start shrinking it or kind of trying to move it on into something a bit more trophy-like. It just completely lost all of its actual, meaning.
We're sort of saying, look, you're called the drum. You own the word the drum. You own the picture that gets into my mind when you talk about the drum. Yeah. This is the idea that you need to run with. So obviously, as designers, we go drum. Immediately, we don't go drum. We go everything else apart from the drum. Yeah. Drums, sticks, all the things around it. Stick was a compelling first thought.
The drumsticks as an idea was really lovely, and we thought, before we even looked at it as a trophy, it was kind of a nice thing to say, we're the drum, we're giving you some drumsticks. And we had some here, and they're lovely objects. But for us, it kind of felt too literal. It was too much about the instrument.
The next thought was awards, gong.
We just like the pun. That a gong, you have a gong in a set of drums, but also a gong is an award. But then the reality started to sort of, as we started to research how much gongs cost. It just, our vision got smaller and smaller.
So yeah, there's a cost issue with that idea, but also is it a good idea? After a while, the joke's going to die on you. So to answer our question, does it have legs? Probably not.
One of the things that kept coming up was, you can tell we're designers, we love big letters, was, could it be as simple as a D? Is there some way we could sort of drumify it?
And as soon as we started thinking about trying to make it drum-like, this is something we stumbled upon, but we kind of were like, oh, it feels very forced. As soon as you start adding drum details.
So following on from the D, we actually felt there was something nice about a drummer, a figurine.
You called the drum, the award's this amazing drummer. There's this sort of lovely, it doesn't look like a sort of child's tin drummer. We've sort of taken it and almost elevated it.
So the figurine was really close for us. We can imagine winning it. We can imagine it on the shelves. Beautiful, memorable, simple, had legs, all of those things. but the production costs were going to be phenomenal. We were left with one answer: it's got to be a drum.
And the more we looked, the more we liked the more simplified. You know, when we looked at the tin toys, they had simplified drums. When we looked at these drums, they were simplified. And they seem as though they're aping this sort of traditional marching drum, which has the sort of tensioning wires. So they become a sort of cartoon. The toy drums become a cartoon of that.
And that just seemed to tick off everything on our shopping list.
In the end, it came down to the simplest idea was going to win. It had to be a drum.
So the shape, I think, is probably worth moving on to prototype.
Yeah.
I think we need to see it, don't we? Need to, like, and actually be able to put one on a shelf and go
and feel it. And
go. Let's do a bit of that with it as well. Yeah.
We need to probably actually be in a position to hit the button on it in end of March.
Yeah.
So we've got looming deadline, which is scary enough. Then we receive prototypes, and we're starting to prototype this thing, and it weighs a ton, and it's clearly a health and safety issue if it rolls off a table onto somebody's foot.
They'll just roll off the shelf. Like, they've killed our receptionist.
You got this really tight idea. The last thing you want is the production to be floppy.
So if I can sort of pick away at a decal, or
it's
got to feel like a solid and beautiful object. So
we needed a production company that we could work really closely with, and Elaine at Awarded 2 was great because she brought about 4 versions to London with us. We had numerous kind of phone calls just to make sure we could get this thing absolutely perfect.
That is more of a usable metal. If you can even look at the finish, it's going to polish nicer, it's going to powder coat nicer.
We really wanted this to be a substantial award and have a bit of weight, but it was a bit of a comedy moment when we got the first prototypes because they weighed an absolute ton.
What? Oh my god! Wow! It's actually really, it's much heavier. Wow, that's really heavy.
This is the same weight as this, isn't it?
Yeah.
For some reason it feels lighter. Maybe just get used to it.
As soon as you've got it, the first thing we do is clear the award shelf and put it straight in the middle, didn't we? I mean, it's like, what does it look like?
And then the second thing you do is the footballer thing. Put it on your head.
Yeah, we're trying to make them more uniform though.
Yeah, that's what Kate
do you get a crown effect?
But just with the colours on the different, if you kept the drum.
I think we're pretty confident that actually once we got the dimensions right, that the weight would start to take care of itself and that it would feel great. But we really hadn't, at that stage, resolved the graphics.
We've had sort of studio votes, so some of these are backs, some of them are fronts, some of them are backs and fronts. So we won't sleep until we get it right.
And we still had that little nagging thought at the back of our minds, what if it rolled too much?
Yeah, they get lost.
We essentially need final approval this Friday, in 2 days' time, on the graphics for the trophy. That way, Awarded to You can spend next week producing the final prototype for us to sign off on.
Since going down the drum route, we'd always been fond of this D symbol with the words making up drumsticks. But in the cold light of day, once we started to look at it against the whole of the graphic system, we realised it was quite busy, but it also had ambiguity in it. You could start to read a face in it, and maybe it was too complicated.
I remember Jamie sort of working through, being given the task of, right, what are we going to do? And he came up with the most minimal, beautiful logo that was so minimal that we all just thought, that's it. You know, we've sort of refined and refined and refined, and we think the solution is this. But you'll see we've sort of reduced an icon of a drum to its most minimal. You know, as we take away, we try, we refine, we try, then we work through the system. Does this work through the system? And this is what we've ended up with, is this sort of almost rigorous design process. So this was quite a radical departure from the original brief, and it's fair to say that Gordon had to go away and think about it.
It's difficult when you see an idea like that though, isn't it? Yeah. Because you'd probably need to sort of live with it for a few days.
Yeah.
A couple of days later, he'd shown it to the leadership team, we got this beautiful email, everybody was really happy with it, and we were thrilled.
Yeah, so after Gordon's email, we got one final prototype made, and actually it felt like the right answer. As soon as we got it in the studio, it felt great. The weight was perfect. The graphics looked really good.
Yeah, I feel like now that we've actually got it in our hands, there's some little things that come through that are really satisfying, like the sort of the hint of a crown in there. Just you get it, and once you start to look at it as the object that you're going to get as a winner, then that little play really has nice resonance, I think.
Really happy with that, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
No, I think.
I mean, if you think of the journey we've been on to get to here.
Yeah. When you put it on the shelf, it does really stand out, which I think is what we wanted.
Yeah.
You know,
it's got presence,
something different.
It's all about the drum. It's got presence. It's got all of those things. There's some happy moments for me. Yeah.
It's got joy in it as well. I think there's something about it. It is quite a jolly object.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a design award. This is our award for our industry.
Yeah.
Our job is to look after it for the rest of the design industry, and you know that we're not going to leave it alone. We're not going to rest until we're happy with it, and we're happy with it. Well, all we need now is to win one. It's gorgeous. And my worry is people are going to see this drum and go, well, of course, it's just a drum. What have they done?
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's the point. We weren't here.